High above the clouds, above storms, above the limits of human endurance, stands the highest point on Earth. For decades, only men were believed capable of standing here, until one woman, a 4'10" mother from Japan, proved them wrong. After surviving a deadly avalanche that buried her alive, she rose to make history. This is the story of Junko Tabei. Junko was born in 1939, the fifth of 7 children. She was physically fragile, often sick, and described by teachers as weak. In the rigid social structure of post-war Japan, a girl like Junko was expected to be invisible. But at age 10, a school trip to Mount Nasu changed her DNA. On those volcanic slopes, she realized the mountain didn't care about her size, only her resolve. That first climb sparked a silent fire. While her peers focused on domestic arts, Junko spent her teenage years dreaming of altitude. She realized that climbing wasn't about competition. It was about the personal struggle against the incline. However, 1950s Japan offered no path for a female climber. She was an anomaly in a world that valued female submissiveness. Junko moved to Tokyo to study English literature, but her heart was in the Alps. She joined local climbing clubs, only to be met with coldness. Men refused to rope up with her. They joked she was only there to find a husband. One man told her bluntly, "You should be at home raising children." These insults didn't break her. They became the fuel for her ascent. Junko began climbing independently. She developed a reputation for mental endurance, the ability to stay calm when the weather turned lethal. During this time, she met Junko Tabei, a famous climber who saw her as an equal. They married in 1965. When their daughter was born, society whispered that her hobby was finally over. They were wrong. In 1969, Junko realized that if women weren't invited to the mountain, they had to build their own. She founded the Ladies Climbing Club Japan. Their motto, "Let's go on an overseas expedition by ourselves." They were mocked by the press. Sponsors told them to go home. To fund Everest, they taught piano, worked extra shifts, and sewed their own gear from recycled car seat covers. By 1975, the plan was set, the Japanese Women's Everest Expedition. 15 women, led by Eiko Hisano, with Junko as the lead climber. They chose the South Col route, the Hillary route, but Everest is a graveyard. Temperatures drop to 40 degrees Celsius, and the death zone awaits anyone who lingers too long. May 4, 1975. 6,300 meters high, the team was asleep at Camp 2. Suddenly, the mountains screamed. An avalanche roared down, burying the entire camp in seconds. Junko was pinned beneath 4 teammates, crushed under tons of ice. She lost consciousness, her lungs burning for air she couldn't find. Sherpas frantically dug through the debris. They pulled Junko out by her feet. She was battered, her legs were black with bruises, and she could barely stand. The expedition seemed over, but after just 2 days of rest, crawling on her hands and knees because she couldn't walk, Junko looked at the summit and said, "Continue." As they climbed above 8,000 meters, the death zone began to take its toll. The air contains only 1/3 of the oxygen found at sea level. Every step feels like running a marathon while breathing through a straw. Junko's vision blurred, her body screamed for her to stop, but her mind remained fixed on the peak. May 16, 1975. The final obstacle, the Hillary Step. A narrow, knife-edge ridge of ice. Junko was horrified to find it so thin. One wrong step meant a fall into Tibet on one side or Nepal on the other. She crawled on her stomach, inching across the ice as the wind tried to throw her off the world. At 12:30 p.m., the incline stopped. There was no more mountain left. Junko Tabei stood at 8,848 meters. She didn't scream or celebrate. She felt a profound sense of relief. She had become the first woman to stand on the roof of the world. She had climbed not to conquer the mountain, but to conquer the doubts of the world. Everest was just the beginning. In 1992, she became the first woman to complete the 7 summits, climbing the highest peak on every continent. She traveled to over 70 countries, proving that age and gender were no barriers to the wild. She became a global icon for female empowerment, though she remained famously humble. In her later years, Junko's love for the mountains turned to protection. She was heartbroken by the climbing tourism that left Everest littered with trash. She went back to school at age 61 to study environmental science, and spent her final years leading expeditions to clean up the peaks she had once climbed. In 2012, Junko was diagnosed with cancer. She kept climbing. Just months before her death in 2016, she led a group of students up Mount Fuji. She taught us that the greatest mountains we climb aren't made of rock and ice. They are made of the no's we hear from others. Junko Tabei didn't stay home. She chose to climb. And in doing so, she lifted the world with her.
If you enjoyed this story of forgotten history, hit the like button and subscribe. Tell me in the comments, which unsung hero should we cover next?